You're listening to Progress on Purpose, the podcast for women pursuing passion and promise unapologetically. I'm your host, Michelle Hardy, bringing you pep talks to help you overcome obstacles and take bold steps forward. Tune in, get inspired, and let's make progress on purpose. Go for it, sis. What's going on, everybody? I am on a high from Women Evolve. I went to Women Evolve last week. It was in Dallas, Texas. If you do not know, honey, make sure that you get your tickets for next year because it was the most amazing experience. You're talking about close to 40,000 women in a room, loving on each other, praying for one another, being in a spirit-filled environment where you could really just receive everything that you needed. And this year, the theme was surrender. Sarah Jakes Roberts is the one who is the creator of the conference, and she coined the theme surrender this year. And when I saw that it was the theme, I had to buy a ticket, and I dragged my mom and my sister along with me. And today I want to talk about why I'm on a high. I'm really on a high because I realized really this morning that the story of overcoming that I talked about last week on the podcast or earlier this week on the podcast, that would have never happened had I not surrendered to God in that season and allowed all of the work that needed to be done, even to lead me up until the point of leaving that place and then doing the work to heal. That took me surrendering to God, surrendering my ego, my just so much, even my emotions. I had to surrender all of that. And what I realized is that surrendering is necessary. It is a requirement in order to overcome something that you are experiencing. You got to be willing to relinquish control. One of the definitions that was given over the weekend at Women Evolve about surrendering was that it doesn't mean to lose. You're not losing the battle. You are giving over control. Hey, so sorry. I had to interrupt really quickly to tell you about an amazing resource that is BetterHelp.com, which is an online therapy service that I can speak for when I tell you talking to a licensed therapist has helped me get to the root of my issues. Sis, you definitely want to jump on this. BetterHelp will match you with your own licensed professional therapist, and you can start communicating in under 24 hours. There's a broad range of experts on the network, so you do not have to worry about what you want to discuss. There is somebody who is waiting to talk to you. I promise you, this could be the best conversation that you ever have. And Progress on Purpose podcast listeners get a special discount of 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/POP. And I'm telling you, you don't want to miss out. Visit betterhelp.com/POP and start that conversation today. It may be the best and most important conversation that you have in your life. That's betterhelp.com/POP. BETTERHelp.com/POP. Okay, let's get back to the show. And so in that time and in times past, I've literally had to walk that out. I've had to give over control to God in order to find myself in a better place. I don't know if you ever experienced like depression or feeling like, you just have nothing left. nothing left for the situation that you're in, nothing left for the circumstance, nothing left for the person that you're with. Like, at that point, it's like you just want to shut down. I have been there more times than I would like to admit. And what I've learned about that season or those seasons is that I gotta release control in order to allow God to take over. And sometimes when God takes over, He shows me. And other times, when God takes over, he fights my battle. Well, I would say every time He fights the battle, right? Even if the battle is me. But we have to find ourselves in a constant place of surrender. And one of the things that Sarah Jakes Roberts talked about in her message at Woman Evolve was about believing God for something that you've never had to believe Him for before. And she kept saying it over and over and over again. You're going to have to believe God for something that you never had to believe God for before. And I really thought about that because, you know, the older I get, the more I realize that my ways are not His ways, my thoughts are not His thoughts. And even my intentions, sometimes I have to be willing to fact check those and make sure that they are the intentions that are aligned with what God wants, and then believe God for that. Believe God for being able to walk in that and not necessarily in my selfish desires. As a mom, as a wife, I noticed that, you know, sometimes I could get in my own head, and in this season, I'm believing God for Him to really like transform things in my life as it relates to my marriage, as it relates to my family. And I'm in a place where I can't do anything but relinquish control over to God. I think it's why I went through this whole period in the summertime where I just decompressed, and I just, you know, just decluttered physically and mentally, and just did the work to just pause. I'm still not on social media. I'm still in pause mode. And I believe it's because I want to be so available for whatever God will do in this season. Even showing up again for the podcast is hard because life be lifing, but also my emotions be emotioning. And I'm realizing that in order to show up, I gotta surrender that too. Like, I gotta be able to believe God for an emotional state that I don't walk in every day. And that's what I gotta believe that that's what's gonna allow me to become more consistent. I have to believe God for an emotional state that allows me to produce in a way that I would produce on my job for my own businesses and for my own things. And I say that I didn't have to do those things before because I had a different drive. My why has changed. My why has shifted. And so I gotta believe God for literally something that I've never had to believe Him for before. And so I'm walking that thing out. And I was supposed to record yesterday, but I didn't because I was in a really bad space. And to be honest with you, this morning, I'm still there, but I'm believing God for this spot right here, this moment, because I know what I said I wanted to do when I was in a better emotional state. And being consistent means showing up when you got to show up, regardless of how you may feel, because feelings are not facts, they change. So I'm real clear about that, and I'm doing the work to push. I'm doing the work to push past everything. because I know that on the other side of my endurance is the victory that I desire to see. I know that on the other side of my endurance is the consistency that I'll be able to look back and see. And I know that it's little steps that lead to consistency, which leads to victory in areas of my life, right? And I don't want to squander the time that that I have now. And so I just wanted to share. But also, as I share, y'all my people, y'all my girls. So I hope that in me sharing, it helps you to get to a state where, you're walking with me on this journey. We're all on a journey to wholeness. We all are trying to go for it, sis. We're all trying to do the things that God has placed inside of us to do. So we have to, I'm encouraging you to push today. I'm encouraging you to believe God. For something that you've never had to believe him for, as Sarah Jakes Roberts said. I'm encouraging you to surrender to whatever it is that God is trying to do in this season of your life, which may include you being in a state of surrender for your emotions, for your relationships, for your desires, for even your intentions. For your circumstance, for what comes next, for your anxieties, for those things that you are so worried about. Just surrender it to God. And honey, my mother will tell you that before Sarah Jakes Roberts was talking about surrender, she was talking about surrender. Because that has been her word for a minute, that she borrowed from her friend, right? So just being real, like it must be what God wants in this season. And I'm surrendering to that. Because I don't know it all. I want to be in the flow of what God is doing. So I'm going to end here. And I want to just, again, encourage you all to go for it. And today, go for surrendering so that you can overcome. I plan to be at Women Evolve next year too, so pull up. Me and my mom and my sister, we wore our Go For It Sis shirts. We was outside, okay? And next year, God willing, I'll be in the building again, and I want to see a little squad. Like, if you got your Go For It Sis shirts, pop up, pull up, okay? But yes, that's it, and I will talk to you later. Love you so much. Praying for you out of my experiences, praying for you even in things that we don't know to say. Like as I walk through things and I know I'm not by myself, I just pray in the spirit, and in doing that, I'm praying for you too. So I love you guys. I know God is doing amazing things in our lives in the season. It's why we're here. It's why we're at surrender. It's why we're at, even we've been able to overcome certain things. It's because we're doing the work, right? So that's it. Love you. Take care. I'll see you soon.